Welcome to Animal DNA, our extraordinary expedition through the animal kingdom. We'll explore the unique traits and characteristics of animals of all kinds, how species relate to one another, and ways in which they survive and thrive in their diverse environments around the planet. And so our journey begins. We'll head into the water and take a closer look at crabs, lobsters, octopuses, sea urchins, starfish, sponges, and corals. Let's dive in with crabs and lobsters. These two hard-shelled ocean dwellers are considered crustaceans, a subgroup of arthropods. Animals in this group are invertebrates that possess bilateral symmetry, a segmented body, an exoskeleton, and jointed legs. Crustaceans breathe through gills, have appendages, a calcified hard upper shell known as a carapace, and antennae. There are more than 67,000 species of crustaceans, including crabs, shrimp, lobsters, and prawns. Aquatic crustaceans can inhabit fresh and salt water and can be found at all depths. All crustaceans share some similar anatomical characteristics, but their size varies greatly. Water fleas can be almost microscopic at less than 0.009 of an inch. On the other hand, the largest crustaceans, like the American lobster, can weigh up to 44 pounds, and the giant Japanese spider crab's legs alone can span 12 feet long. Crustacean bodies are composed of several segments called metamers. There are three general regions: the cephalon, which is the head, the perion, which is the thorax, and the pleon, which is the abdomen. If the first segments of the thorax are attached to the head, they form a region known as the cephalothorax. Crustaceans possess an oviparous reproductive system, meaning eggs go through little to no embryonic development in the mother. They are born as larvae and evolve to maturity. Let's turn to those sideways walking crustaceans. That's right, we're talking about crabs. These animals belong to the decapod order, meaning they have 10 legs. They use their pincers to fight off other animals and to source and eat food. There are about 4,000 species of crabs, and they all live in or near water. Crabs are not characterized by their ability to swim. They usually walk along the ocean floor or scuttle along shorelines. You may be familiar with hermit crabs, which some people keep as pets. The hermit crab's scientific name is paguroid, and it belongs to a superfamily, the Paguroidae. There are approximately 500 species of hermit crabs worldwide, and almost all of them are aquatic. Hermit crabs use snail shells to protect their abdomen, which is made of less rigid tissue than other types of crabs. They can also appropriate other animal shells to use as their own. They don't kill to get shells. They take what they need from the carcasses of other animals. No sense in letting a good home go to waste if the previous owner is no longer occupying it. Thanatocresis, or metabiosis, is a term used to describe this relationship between hermit crabs and the shells of other mollusks. There are not many species that practice this kind of behavior. Only the front half of hermit crabs have a rigid exoskeleton, which is why they need a shell to increase protection on their backside. To squeeze into a shell, hermit crabs twist their abdomen into a spiral and cover the holes with their limbs to prevent other animals from entering. Hermit crabs change shells as they grow. They inspect potential new, larger homes with their claws until they find the right one. Then they need to act fast. Confrontations with other hermit crabs on the shell house hunt are common. Hermit crabs are scavengers, although they also feed on larvae, other crustaceans, mussels, snails, worms, and plants. Moving on, Let's take a look at lobsters, another crustacean, and relatives of the crab. When you picture a lobster, you're probably picturing what is referred to as a true lobster or clawed lobster. These creatures belong to the Nephropodidae family. The most common species of true lobsters are the American lobster, the European lobster, and the Caribbean lobster. Lobsters are also related to shrimp and prawns, which you may have been able to guess, as they share a similar anatomy. Like crabs, the rigid body of a lobster is also divided into two main parts. The cephalothorax, which is made up of the head and thorax, is covered by the hard shell. The cephalothorax bears the lobster's antennae, its mouth, as well as its compound eyes. The abdomen includes pleopods, which the lobster uses for swimming, along with the last segment of its abdomen, which is a fin-shaped tail. True lobsters have 5 pairs of walking legs, the first 3 of which have evolved into claws. The first pair of claws, or pincers, are the largest and the ones used to capture, crush, and cut food. Spiny lobsters do not have claws on their front legs and have larger antennae than true lobsters. Coral lobsters have bodies covered with small hairs and short antennae. All lobster bodies are protected by a hard, chitin exoskeleton that molt as they grow. Young lobsters molt several times a year. Adult lobsters molt less frequently. Like spiders, lobster blood is blue due to its consistency of copper-rich hemocyanin. True lobsters usually measure 10 to 20 inches long and can reach up to 2 feet. A minimum size lobster will weigh around 1 pound, while the largest lobsters weigh between 3 to 4 pounds. Lobsters can be found in all the world's oceans, although each species has its own stomping grounds. Most commercial species, like the American lobster, inhabit the cold waters of the northern Atlantic Ocean. The Caribbean lobster ranges from the waters of Brazil to the United States and is abundant in the Caribbean Sea. Spiny lobsters are native to warm waters and are very common around Australia. Lobsters are benthic crustaceans, which means they live on the seabed. They take refuge in burrows they dig themselves, rocky crevices, or between aquatic grasses. Nephropodidae lobsters live in crevices on rocky or sandy floors. They can be found from the coast to past the continental shelf. Other species inhabit coral reefs, continental shelf bottoms, artificial reefs, and mangrove areas. Some species can even live in brackish and fresh waters. Lobsters have a flexible, omnivorous diet, which includes a wide range of small fish and mollusks, algae, tiny invertebrates, worms, and even other lobsters. Their mouth is located below the cephalothorax and between the antennae. They use their jaws like teeth to grind food, which then travels to the cardiac stomach, the first of 2 stomachs. The second stomach is called the pyloric stomach, and from there, food passes into the intestine. Most lobsters are nocturnal, meaning they forage for food at night and rest during the day. Guided by their antennae, many lobsters move backwards and slowly, using their legs along the seafloor. They do not usually swim unless the situation warrants moving fast. If they do need to flee in a hurry, they can reach speeds up to 16 feet per second. Some lobsters are migratory, like the Caribbean lobster, which begins its migration to deeper waters between October and November. They move back to shallower waters in the spring and summer when females spawn. Lobster larvae go through several stages. In the last one, they take the form most like that of an adult and begin to live out their life on the seafloor. Globally, lobsters are not endangered. However, it is important to protect them from excessive human consumption, as they are a vulnerable species. We'll be right back with more animal DNA. Welcome back to Animal DNA. Let's see if you can answer this trivia question. Which of the following animals is not a crustacean? A. Porifera. B. Norway lobsters. C. Shrimp. D. Spider crabs. So if you said A, porifera, you're right. Not sure what porifera are? Let's meet them. Porifera is the scientific name for sponges, a class of aquatic creatures that lack vertebrae. Sponges usually live in the sea. They form colonies on solid submerged surfaces, like stones or corals. Most sponges take the form of a tube or sac, with a single opening. Their sizes can vary widely. Some are only a few inches tall, while others shaped like vases or branches can be 3 to 6.5 feet tall. Sponge bodies form a tough outer layer reinforced by calcium carbonate fragments, like pieces of rock, sand, skeletal remains, or other animals or silica. Sponges feed on microscopic organic particles that drift in the ocean. They filter these particles out of the water that passes through the different ducts present in their outer layer. Of the thousands of sponge species that inhabit the planet, only about 150 of them are found in fresh water. One interesting and incredible thing about sponges is their cells have the ability to change to a different cell type depending on their needs. This makes them totipotent, which means that they can generate any type of cell, tissue, or organ in their body. Moving on, let's turn our attention to echinoderms, which include organisms like starfish and sea urchins. Echinoderms are metazoan marine animals that have a mesodermal skeleton made of calcium carbonate-based plates or granules. These plates can be equipped with spines to ward off attackers. Echinoderms are characterized by their pentagonal radial symmetry, meaning their bodies consist of 5 similar regions around a central disc. Think of a 5-pointed starfish. The mesodermal skeleton has orifices from which appendages emerge. They are organized in a radial series and may end in suckers. Sea urchins and starfish have tiny pincer-like organs, called pedicellari, that they engage to attack potential prey, defend themselves against predators, and even remove unwanted larvae in search of a host body. There are about 7,000 species of echinoderms in existence today. More than 13,000 species have already gone extinct and only exist in fossil form. Echinoderms live solely in the salty oceans, as they are unable to survive in freshwater or on land. Echinoderms are a peculiar bunch. For starters, they lack a central pump or heart. Their circulatory system is open, and the blood vessels are connected to sinuses or lacunae. Echinoderms also do not possess excretory organs. Waste is eliminated through the water-based vascular system, which consists of closed tubules and ducts that are also involved in feeding, respiration, and the movement of tentacles. In terms of mobility, most echinoderms can crawl and swim. Generally, their mobility is very slow and smooth. Starfish can range in size dramatically, from a diameter of less than a ½ inch to up to 40 inches across. Most starfish feed on microalgae, sponges, snails, and other small animals. The brittle starfish uses its 5 long, extremely slender arms with spines to capture its prey, which includes certain mollusks and small crustaceans. Sea urchins also vary widely in size, generally ranging anywhere from 2 inches to 2 feet in diameter. Their round bodies are armed with a multitude of spines, which can be extremely harmful to predators. Sea urchins feed on algae, which they extract from rocks on the seafloor. Most species engage in sexual reproduction, but some species can reproduce asexually. For instance, some starfish can detach an arm and a part of their central disc to create another organism. A single arm can grow into a new sea star in a matter of months, and the parent sea star will eventually grow back its missing appendage and portion of its disk. Starfish can have 4, 5, 6, or even more limbs, and thanks to their amazing power of regeneration, they can grow back the pieces of their bodies they lose. Incredible! We'll be right back with more Animal DNA. Welcome back to Animal DNA. Let's see if you can answer this trivia question. Due to their number of tentacles, octopuses are also called what? A. Octopods. B. Bipeds. C. Quadrupeds. D. Hexapods. The correct answer is A. Octopods. Did you get it right? Octopuses are invertebrate aquatic animals and part of the mollusk phylum. They have soft bodies with no outer shell to protect them, and 8 appendages called arms, which have adherent suction cups on the bottom. Octopuses have 3 hearts. 2 are responsible for carrying blood to the gills, while the other enables circulation to the other body regions. Another important characteristic of octopuses is they possess a kind of siphon or pump that allows them to expel water and propel themselves forward. Of course, they also possess a reservoir of ink, which they use as a defense mechanism when threatened by predators. Octopuses are carnivorous and usually hunt at night. Their diet consists of small crustaceans, certain fish, mollusks, lobsters, and crabs. They have powerful jaws and venomous saliva that renders their prey immobile. Octopuses can be attacked by large fish, such as groupers or conger eels. For protection, they spend most of the day hiding among rocks or in caves, where they camouflage themselves. They can grow to about 4.5 feet long and weigh up to 22 pounds. Although the common octopus, Octopus vulgaris, is on the smaller side, only growing to 1 to 3 feet long and roughly 12 pounds. Next up, we have an interesting animal, coral. Some people mistakenly believe corals are underwater plants, like algae. But in fact, coral is an animal. Corals are marine invertebrates in the class Anthozoa and the phylum Cnidaria. They form colonies in which they are linked to each other through a calcareous polypore. As with echinoderms, coral possesses radial symmetry. Corals live their lives attached to the bottom of the sea. Most corals feed on the photosynthetic algae that resides in their tissues. This also gives the coral its color. Some corals can also capture small fish and plankton using stinging cells in their tentacles. The hardened calcium carbonate structure of coral remain after the death of the animal and can be colonized by other corals, which in turn create new structures. Corals are key contributors to the infrastructure within tropical and subtropical waters. Over time, as they link in colonies, coral reefs are formed, which can even emerge from the water if they grow large enough. Thanks to ocean currents and waves, coral reefs receive nutrients that allow them to become habitats for various aquatic species, making them an important ecosystem for life underwater. And with that, our journey has come to an end. See you next time on Animal DNA, where we humans decode all the secrets of our friends in the animal kingdom to learn more about them and a little bit more about ourselves, too.